Awareness is the doorway to freedom, yet so many people walk through life with their eyes half closed, unaware of the thoughts and feelings that truly govern their actions. Negative feelings do not appear out of thin air, they grow quietly, sometimes slowly, like vines creeping up the walls of your mind. At first they are just small whispers, a slight doubt, a little worry, a passing irritation. But left unchecked, they build into storms that can imprison a person in cycles of fear, anger, guilt, and resentment. To overcome negative feelings, the very first step is becoming aware of them in the moment they arise, because you cannot transform what you refuse to see. Think about it. When someone is stuck in a dark room, they stumble, fall, hurt themselves, and often feel helpless because they cannot see what is around them. The same is true for our inner world. If you are not aware of the thoughts that move through your mind, you will stumble emotionally, again and again, not because you are weak, but because you are blind to the patterns. Awareness is like switching on the light in that dark room. Suddenly, you see the furniture, the obstacles, the walls, and the doors. You realize that what was hurting you was not some mysterious curse, but simply objects you could not identify in the dark. In the same way, when you become aware of negative feelings, you realize they are not permanent monsters controlling your life, but temporary shadows that can be understood and dissolved. Awareness is not about denying the feelings or pretending to be positive when you are not. It is about noticing them without judgment. For example, when anger rises in your chest, awareness allows you to say to yourself, "I feel anger right now." When sadness presses heavily on your shoulders, awareness gives you the power to recognize, "This is sadness moving through me." In that moment of acknowledgement, you create distance between yourself and the emotion. You stop saying, "I am angry," and instead you say, "I feel anger." That small shift in language represents a giant leap in consciousness, because it reminds you that you are not the emotion itself, you are the observer experiencing it. Without awareness, negative feelings trick you into believing they are who you are. If guilt comes, you begin to think you are a guilty person. If fear comes, you begin to believe you are a fearful soul. This identification strengthens their hold over you. But awareness loosens the chains. You begin to see that these feelings are visitors, not permanent residents. They come to your door, they knock loudly, they demand attention, but with awareness, you can decide whether to let them in, how long they stay, and when it is time to show them out. Imagine a prisoner sitting inside the cell of his own thoughts. The bars are not steel, they are made of repeated emotions he has accepted without awareness. Every bar represents an unchallenged belief. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I can't escape my past. Each time he repeats these thoughts unconsciously, the prison grows stronger. But the moment awareness enters, cracks appear in the walls. He suddenly sees that the prison is not unbreakable. In fact, it was built out of illusions he kept feeding. Awareness is the light that shows him the door was never locked. He was free all along, but he could not see it in the darkness of unconsciousness. When awareness becomes a daily practice, life changes dramatically. Instead of reacting blindly to circumstances, you begin to notice your inner triggers. You recognize that certain people or events awaken specific feelings in you, not because of what they are doing, but because of the stories you are telling yourself in your mind. A simple comment from someone might stir jealousy, but awareness allows you to pause and ask, "Why does this comment affect me? What belief is being touched here?" Instead of drowning in the emotion, you investigate it. That investigation weakens the emotion's power because you are shining the light of consciousness on it. Awareness is not passive. It is an active, living state of presence. It requires you to step back and observe, almost like watching a movie of your inner world. You see the characters of doubt, fear, and worry walk across the stage of your mind. You hear their dialogues. But you do not get lost in the script. You are the audience, not the actors. And the more you practice this, the more you begin to recognize patterns. Perhaps you notice that negative feelings often rise when you are tired, or when you compare yourself to others, or when you think about the past. With awareness, you learn your own emotional triggers, and once you know the triggers, you hold the key to disarming them before they control you. Consider how a child reacts to thunder. At first, without understanding, the loud sound terrifies them. They cry, hide, and shake with fear. But once someone explains that thunder is simply a natural sound in the sky, the child may still feel startled. But the fear lessens because awareness has replaced ignorance. Similarly, when you bring awareness to your negative feelings, they no longer appear as terrifying monsters. You begin to understand them as natural human experiences passing through, not permanent realities. This simple recognition brings freedom, and freedom is always the first step toward transformation. Reframing the story is one of the most powerful tools any human being can use to rise above negative feelings, because the mind does not respond to events themselves. It responds to the interpretation of those events. Two people can go through the same situation and come out with completely different perspectives, one feeling broken and the other feeling strengthened. The difference is not in what happened, but in the story they tell themselves about what happened. Every experience in life is neutral until the mind gives it meaning. If you label an experience as tragedy, it becomes a heavy weight that drags you down. If you label the same experience as a lesson, a stepping stone, or even a blessing in disguise, it becomes fuel for your growth. Reframing is about choosing consciously what meaning you give to your experiences, because that meaning will determine the quality of your emotions and ultimately the direction of your life. A person may feel like a prisoner because they keep telling themselves the story of loss, betrayal, or failure. They keep repeating, "This ruined me. This destroyed my chance. This left me broken." With each repetition, the story deepens its roots and creates stronger chains. The pain may have been real, the event may have been difficult, but the suffering is magnified by the story that follows it. When you reframe, you stop telling the story of defeat and begin to tell the story of transformation. Instead of saying, "This ended me," you begin to say, "This taught me resilience." Instead of repeating, "I lost everything," you start affirming, "I gained wisdom that no money can buy." It is the same event, the same memory, but a new meaning creates a new identity. Think of someone who spent years struggling in poverty, constantly feeling the sting of lack and limitation. One person may look back and say, "I grew up poor, and that's why I'll never get ahead." Another may look back and say, "I grew up poor, and that's why I learned to fight, to dream, to create something bigger for myself." Both are true stories, but only one leads to empowerment. Reframing does not erase the facts. It reinterprets them in a way that strengthens rather than weakens. It allows you to look at the same past, but with new eyes. Eyes that see potential where once there was only pain. When someone is in the middle of negative feelings, reframing might feel unnatural at first, because the mind is used to replaying the story of hardship. But with practice, it becomes a habit. Each time a painful memory surfaces, you pause and ask, "What else could this mean? How could this serve me? How might this event have been preparing me for something greater?" By asking these questions, you open the door to new interpretations. The brain, being a meaning-making machine, will begin to search for answers. Slowly, the heavy chains of the old story begin to break. Reframing is what turns a so-called prison into a palace. Imagine a woman who once felt like a prisoner of her circumstances, trapped in situations that stripped her of joy and hope. She could have chosen to dwell endlessly on the pain, to tell herself she was a victim of fate. But instead, she reimagines her journey. She begins to see that every trial was shaping her character. Every setback was teaching her endurance. Every heartbreak was carving deeper compassion into her soul. In this reframed story, she is not the prisoner but the heroine, not the victim but the survivor destined to rise. With this new story, The same life looks entirely different, and the emotions that once chained her lose their grip. This shift in storytelling also affects how the future unfolds. When you carry the story of defeat, you walk into tomorrow with a heavy heart, expecting more of the same. But when you carry the story of growth, you step into tomorrow with anticipation, expecting breakthroughs and opportunities. The outer world reflects the inner narrative. A person who believes they are cursed will unconsciously sabotage themselves, while a person who reframes their life as blessed will notice doors opening where others see only walls. Even in the smallest daily situations, reframing changes the emotional outcome. A delay in traffic can be seen as wasted time, or it can be seen as an opportunity to reflect, listen to something inspiring, or simply breathe. A criticism from someone can be framed as an attack that ruins your mood, or as feedback that sharpens your strength. The external event is identical, but the inner story you choose creates the difference between sinking into negativity or rising into growth. Negative feelings lose their power when you tell a bigger story than the one they try to trap you in. Fear tells you the story that you will fail, but you can reframe it into the story that fear is a sign you are growing beyond your comfort zone. Anger tells you the story that you have been disrespected, but you can reframe it into the story that anger is reminding you of your worth and teaching you to set healthy boundaries. Sadness tells you the story that life has taken too much from you, but you can reframe it into the story that sadness is opening your heart to appreciate joy more deeply when it returns. Reframing is not lying to yourself or pretending that pain never happened. It is simply choosing a perspective that empowers rather than imprisons. It is saying, yes, this happened, but here is the meaning I give it now. That new meaning rewires the mind, reshapes the emotions, and redefines the person you are becoming. The past does not change, but the power it holds over you does. Because you have claimed the right to be the author of your own story. Gratitude is often spoken of as something simple, almost too simple. Yet it carries the ability to dissolve even the heaviest negative feelings, when practiced with depth and sincerity. Negative emotions thrive on attention. They demand that you look at what is missing, what is broken, what is unfair. They magnify scarcity, they exaggerate problems, and they focus the mind on everything that is not going well. Gratitude flips that lens entirely. It redirects the spotlight away from what is lacking and places it firmly on what is present. What is working, what is beautiful, even in the smallest details of life. By doing so, gratitude changes the vibration of your entire being, because you cannot hold on to deep gratitude and deep negativity at the same time. One cancels the other. Think about how the mind works. It is like a magnifying glass, amplifying whatever it focuses on. If you put the magnifying glass on your problems, every problem grows bigger, darker, and more suffocating. But if you place that same magnifying glass on blessings, on simple yet profound gifts like the breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the hand of a loved one, the sound of laughter, then those blessings expand in your awareness. They take center stage, and suddenly the problems feel smaller, more manageable. Gratitude does not erase challenges, but it shifts the scale of perception so that challenges no longer consume your entire reality. Gratitude is not reserved only for grand moments of success or abundance. True gratitude lives in the details of ordinary life. The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of clean water, the ability to walk, to see, to think. These are miracles so constant that most people overlook them. When you start to consciously appreciate these overlooked gifts, negative feelings lose their grip. Because the mind cannot complain about what is missing when it is filled with wonder at what already exists. This is why people who practice daily gratitude often radiate a lightness and calmness, even in difficult times. They have trained their inner world to seek out the good no matter what. Imagine someone trapped in deep sadness, feeling like everything has been taken away from them. At first, gratitude feels impossible. The sadness tells them there is nothing to be thankful for, that life has been unfair. But if they sit quietly and force themselves to find even one small thing to appreciate, perhaps the fact that they woke up today, that their heart is still beating, that they have another chance to try, this small seed of gratitude can grow. From there, they might notice the kindness of a friend, the comfort of a meal, the beauty of a sunset. Slowly, gratitude begins to carve pathways through the fog of sadness, allowing light to enter where there was once only heaviness. Gratitude also acts as a shield against resentment and comparison. Negative feelings often arise when people compare their lives to others, focusing on what others have that they do not. Gratitude neutralizes this by reminding you of the unique blessings you hold, blessings that are yours alone. While another person may have what you desire, you have treasures they may never experience. Gratitude brings you back into alignment with your own path, instead of resenting someone else's. In this sense, gratitude not only heals negative feelings, but also protects against their future return. One of the most profound aspects of gratitude is that it does not depend on external circumstances. A person may have very little in terms of material possessions, but still feel incredibly rich in gratitude. Another may have abundance, but still feel empty because they take everything for granted. Gratitude is not about how much you have, it is about how deeply you notice and value what you do have. And once you value it, life seems to give you more reasons to be thankful. This is not just philosophy, it is a psychological truth. The brain is wired to look for patterns. When you train it to search for what is good, it will continue to find more of it. Even when negative feelings are strong, fear, anger, guilt, gratitude provides a direct counterbalance. Fear is a focus on what could go wrong, gratitude is a focus on what is already right. Anger is often rooted in unmet expectations. Gratitude softens it by reminding you of what is still present despite disappointment. Guilt chains you to the past, but gratitude anchors you to the present, to the possibilities of now. In this way, gratitude acts like a medicine that specifically neutralizes the poisons of negativity. Developing gratitude as a daily discipline deepens its power. Keeping a gratitude journal, where you write down even 3 things each day that you are thankful for, begins to rewire the mind. Over time, you notice more blessings automatically, without effort. This practice is especially powerful when done during moments of negativity, because it interrupts the cycle of complaint and redirects energy toward appreciation. Speaking gratitude aloud, sharing it with others, or even silently repeating it in your mind can create a ripple effect in your emotions, calming storms before they grow. Gratitude also connects you to something larger than yourself. When you pause to feel thankful, you acknowledge that life itself is a gift, that you are supported by forces greater than your individual effort. Whether you see that force as nature, God, the universe, or simply the interconnectedness of life, gratitude expands your awareness beyond your personal struggles. Suddenly, your problems feel smaller, because you recognize you are part of something vast, something abundant, something continuously giving. This expansive feeling dissolves isolation, another root of negativity. Many negative emotions grow stronger when people feel alone, cut off, abandoned. Gratitude restores connection. It reminds you of the people who have touched your life, the experiences that shaped you, the opportunities you still have. It pulls you out of the narrow tunnel of lack and places you in the wide, open field of abundance. In that field, negative feelings cannot dominate for long, because the mind is busy counting gifts instead of wounds. A vision stronger than the pain is the fuel that pulls a person out of the grip of negative feelings and into the direction of transformation. Pain will always exist in some form. Life is full of moments that challenge the heart and stretch the mind. But pain only dominates when there is nothing larger to reach for. When someone has a vision, a dream that burns brighter than the darkness, the pain becomes a stepping stone instead of a prison. The vision acts like a lighthouse in the storm, shining through even the heaviest waves of despair, reminding the person that there is something worth moving toward, something bigger than the temporary discomfort they feel right now. Negative feelings thrive in the absence of vision. When the mind has no compelling future, it recycles the past and repeats the same cycles of doubt, regret, and fear. Without vision, every obstacle feels final, every setback feels permanent, and every wound feels like the end of the story. But when a person carries a vision so clear and magnetic that it occupies their imagination daily, setbacks lose their power. Pain may still arrive, but it is reframed as part of the path. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the person begins to ask, "How is this shaping me to handle my vision?" That one question turns pain from a wall into a teacher. Consider someone who once felt like a prisoner in their own mind, weighed down by negative emotions and circumstances that seemed impossible to escape. If they have no vision, they remain stuck, endlessly circling the same struggles. But if they begin to create a vision, a vivid picture of themselves living free, fulfilled, and empowered, that image starts to pull them forward. Even in the middle of despair, they now have something to lean on. They can close their eyes and see it, hear it, feel it. The vision becomes more real in their heart than the chains around them. That inner picture fuels strength in moments when everything else feels weak. Pain alone cannot drive transformation for long, because pain pushes but it does not pull. It may force temporary change, but without a vision, the change rarely lasts. A vision, however, pulls the spirit with magnetic force. It gives meaning to the struggle. It tells the mind and heart, "This is where I am going, and this pain is part of the preparation." Athletes endure hours of painful training because the vision of victory keeps them moving. Entrepreneurs push through rejection because the vision of success whispers louder than the sting of failure. Lovers fight for relationships through hardship because the vision of a life shared together is stronger than the conflicts of the moment. In every case, the vision is what keeps the heart alive when pain tries to suffocate it. Creating a vision requires imagination, and imagination is one of the greatest gifts the human mind possesses. Through imagination, you can step outside of current circumstances and build a mental picture of what life could be. The clearer and more emotionally charged that picture becomes, the more powerful it is. A vague wish will not defeat negative feelings, but a vivid, detailed, emotionally alive vision can. When you imagine your future with such clarity that you can almost touch it, your brain begins to respond as if it is already real. Emotions shift, energy rises, and pain begins to feel temporary. There is also a profound relationship between vision and resilience. People with no vision are easily crushed by difficulties because they see no reason to endure. But people with vision endure storms because they are anchored to a greater outcome. The mother who works endless hours to support her children does not crumble under exhaustion because her vision is clear her children's future. The student who pushes through years of study despite financial and emotional struggles does not quit because their vision of becoming something greater is more compelling than the setbacks. Resilience is born when the future you imagine is more real to you than the pain of the present. Vision also sharpens focus. Negative feelings scatter the mind, pulling it in 1,000 directions. Fear of what might happen, regret over what already happened, worry about what cannot be controlled. Vision gathers all that scattered energy and directs it like a laser. It simplifies decision-making because every choice is measured against the vision. Does this move me closer or farther away? This focus prevents the mind from drowning in negativity because the energy is constantly redirected toward building something instead of spiraling in despair. Even in the darkest times, vision allows you to attach meaning to suffering. Pain without meaning feels unbearable. But pain with meaning becomes a form of preparation. A runner feels burning pain in their muscles, but they accept it as training for the finish line. A person going through heartbreak can reframe it as preparation for a deeper love that awaits. The vision turns suffering into investment. It whispers, This is not wasted. This is shaping you, carving you, preparing you. That meaning does not erase the pain, but it transforms its weight, making it something you can carry instead of something that buries you. There is also a spiritual quality to vision. When you hold a vision, you connect to possibility, to the unseen potential of life. You begin to trust that there is more ahead than what you can currently touch. Negative feelings shrink the world, convincing you that what you see now is all there is. Vision expands it, reminding you that today is only one chapter, and that the story is still unfolding. That expansion fills you with hope, and hope is the antidote to despair. A strong vision must live not only in the mind but in the heart. It must be something that ignites emotion, because emotion is the language of the subconscious. If your vision is only intellectual, it will fade when pain rises. But if your vision is tied to deep desire, love, passion, or purpose, it becomes unshakable. It becomes the inner fire that no storm can put out. When the vision is alive at that level, negative feelings may still visit, but they cannot stay, because the energy of purpose is too powerful for them to survive in its presence.